Welcome to Soul Wellness with Kristen, where we get into the nitty-gritty of various holistic modalities and explore exactly how they help you heal. I'm your host, Kristen, and I invite you to join me on this enlightening expedition where we explore the connection between mind, body, and spirit. In each episode, we'll talk in depth with holistic providers, medical professionals, therapists, and healers. Our goal is to empower you with knowledge, inspire you with stories of resilience, and provide practical tools that you can integrate into your daily life. So, find a comfortable space and join us as we explore the multifaceted world of holistic wellness. Get ready to learn how to improve every aspect of your life and simply feel good. The adventure begins now. Thank you for joining our first episode. I'm Kristen, and I own Soul Wellness, which is a co-working space for holistic providers, doctors, therapists, and estheticians. Today we have Corrine Lewis, and she is with Be Rooted in Health. Corrine is a certified functional medicine practitioner, nutritionist, and lifestyle coach. She is also one of my dearest friends, and today we are going to talk about food sensitivities versus food allergies, because this is something she sees a lot. So welcome, Corrine.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored and privileged to be a part of the Soul Wellness podcast and look at this as a wonderful opportunity for us to continue to reach more people and to share and to help educate, because there's so much information out there. It can be really overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So hopefully we can sort of separate the two and make it really basic for people to have a better understanding of what we're talking about today. So thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited.
I know. I'm excited to have you here. This is something that you see a lot. You see a lot of clients and patients on a daily basis. This is something that you run into a lot.
I do. I personally have had my own experiences with food sensitivities. It was sort of a long history in my own health journey, because the symptoms can manifest themselves into what I say almost anything. And so we have not been educated to tie in food information incoming to our bodies and how our bodies respond to that. We really haven't had a lot of insight about that. And so that's what I'm really hoping to be able to share, is some insight as to the two are absolutely connected, and how does our body respond individually to that food information that's coming into us.
Right. So how do you know if you have either a food allergy or a food sensitivity? How would you know?
Okay, so there is definitely a difference between a food allergy and a food sensitivity. Symptoms for, let's just talk about food allergy, because I think that that's more common to us. Symptoms may include tingling, itchy mouth, hives, wheezing, trouble swallowing, vomiting, cough, and certainly anaphylaxis. So that's more of an immediate reaction. Where a food sensitivity is more of a delayed reaction. I always tell people that if you have a high sensitivity to a food, yes, you can experience a symptom within about 30 minutes. However, it's not life-threatening. You just might feel really awful. Those symptoms can include more of fatigue, difficulty concentrating, joint pain, inflammation, headaches, migraine, eczema, rashes, skin irritations, stomach aches, acid reflux, bloating, constipation, or even diarrhea, unexplained weight gain and even weight loss, and behavioral issues in children. So as you can see, that's a long list of symptoms, right?
That's a lot.
Yeah. And again, it can absolutely be linked back to the food information that we're putting in our bodies on a daily basis.
So what causes a food allergy versus a food sensitivity?
So a food allergy, I do believe that can be a representation through DNA structure that we are born with. We could be born with some deficiencies, don't have a strong immune system, but it certainly could be related to environmental issues that we may live in, or that we may spend a lot of time in, that our body just has an adverse reaction to that. If we end up having like high histamine levels and we take in food that is part of that higher histamine group of food, or again, environmental, then our body's going to have a more noticeable reaction to that. Where a food sensitivity, as I had shared, it's more of a delayed reaction, can actually be delayed up to 72 hours before we may have any of those symptoms that I had mentioned, which then it becomes very difficult to go back to linking it. Well, I've eaten a lot of food in the last 72 hours. What could it possibly be?
Right. How do you pinpoint that?
Yeah. And, most commonly when it comes to allergies, the most common food allergies that are there really are fish, cow's milk, eggs, peanuts, soy, and wheat. And a lot of that is due to, unfortunately, those particular food crops in the United States are unfortunately, a lot of them are genetically modified, meaning their DNA structure has been altered, and unfortunately are being sprayed with really heavy toxic chemicals. One of them that I think most people are now aware of is glyphosate.
Right.
They're seeing traces of that in certainly foods, but now through our own blood in adults, in children, and they're even seeing it in newborn babies. So again, there's a lot of moving part. There's a lot of things that have happened over the last 60 years with our food system, and so our bodies, weren't made for that kind of information coming into it.
Right. It's unfortunate.
It is.
And, back in the day, I think our food quality was much better because my parents will talk about, we never had these issues. And yeah, that's because things have changed a lot and there's a lot of chemicals on what you're eating.
We didn't have to pay for the label organic. It was organic.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I've worked with you before and you encouraged me to have a food sensitivity test. And when I got my results, I didn't score, too high on anything, but everything that I scored high on were things that I was eating every single day, and they were healthy things. And I was baffled, and I remember showing you this report, and you blew my mind. You were like, yeah, you don't have a diverse enough food. You're not eating diverse enough, period.
Yeah.
You're eating the same thing every day, and now your body thinks that those foods are attacking it. And I could not believe my ears.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. Like, well, I'm eating healthy food. Let's just say almonds, for instance. Yeah, almonds are really healthy for us. That's a wonderful food to consume. However, not everybody is tolerant to almonds. So as you were saying, lack of diversity in the diet, that's the most common way that we create food sensitivity. So when we're eating the same things day in and day out, number one, because probably we like the food. We might even have a love affair with the food, which I get that.
And we think it's healthy.
And we think we're doing good. Yes, and we think it's healthy. So a lot of times when we think something is healthy for us, we will consume more than one serving of it in a 24-hour period. And so that is the premise for food sensitivities, is to not consume more than one serving of a food in a 24-hour period. So a serving of almonds, let's just say 10 of it. You would not want to consume more than 10 almonds in a 24-hour period, which would then include almond milk, almond butter. So we start to really look at it with a magnifying glass, and or almond yogurt, almond
flour.
Yeah, thank you. Almond flour for baking, because so many people have gone gluten-free that almond flour really became the choice flour to then substitute with.
Yes.
So a lack of diversity in the diet is the most common way that we can go about creating food sensitivities. Another really common way that we can cause food sensitivities is through even medications. And I would say one of the biggest antagonists to the gut microbiome are steroids. And, there are times when somebody may need a round of steroids just to quiet things down in the body if something is really inflamed. However, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who have been on steroids for years. I mean, just really, 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 really long time. And unfortunately, those steroids, they wreak havoc in the gut microbiome. And so that can lead to food sensitivities. having food allergies, like environmental allergies, excuse me. So having an allergy to dust mites, you could actually then test sensitive to avocados and poppy seeds on a food panel as having a sensitivity to it without even consuming that. So there are cross reactions between environmental allergies and then food allergies, which is kind of fascinating. But we're just going to keep it really basic today, so that people hopefully are not getting overwhelmed with the information. So yes, lack of diversity in the diet, medications, with steroids being the top antagonist, but you also have PPIs, which are protein pump inhibitors for reflux. That can be an antagonist to the gut microbiome, changing stomach acid levels. Then you've also have NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, which so many people are on, unfortunately, because they're in a lot of pain, which can be led back to inflammation, which could be led back then to
what they're eating.
So it's fascinating. I love it because it can be as simple as, testing for it, which we're going to talk about, and then knowing whether or not you have food sensitivities and then taking action with that. I do want to share that there are 3 degrees of classifications for food sensitivity. So class 1 is the most mild, class 2 is moderate, and then class 3 is actually the highest sensitivity that they can actually test for on a test.
And then how are you tested for both, for allergies and sensitivities?
So it's a simple blood test.
Both?
Yes, both. Yes.
And then I know, and I was tested, my sensitivities were tested through the Everlywell. That's a kit that you can get at Target. You can get it online. Yeah, it's easy to get.
The wonderful thing about, forward momentum in knowing more about our bodies is now at-home test kits. Everlywell.com is a website that really has gained momentum in creating these home testing kits, and they're adding more and more and more each year. So that's one of the sites that I use. And the cool thing about it too is that if you have an FSA or an HSA health savings card through your health insurance, you can use those to pay for the at-home kits, the testing kits,
nice.
which is a huge savings to people. But it really is a small investment into knowing whether or not you've got food sensitivities based on the symptoms that I shared. Food allergy testing, you can go through ihealth.org, which is ihlth.org. They actually have a basic food allergy panel that you can purchase online. They will email you the lab requisition that you would then take to your local lab corp. You hand them the lab requisition. There are no draw fees. They will draw your blood and then they will email you the results, which is great too. So much is becoming more accessible to us with the ease of not necessarily having to, find a doctor, make an appointment, pay for that doctor's visit, and then go get, the testing done. So there's a lot of great things that are happening that are available to us now, which is great.
Yeah, super easy. And the Everlywell is just a finger prick.
Yeah.
It was super easy.
Yeah. I've even gone to clients' homes. I've had some older clients in their 80s where I've gone to their home and helped them do the test kits. So it really is, it's great.
It's kind of like, why not?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an investment into knowing more about yourself so you then can make, the best decisions possible for your health and be more proactive with it.
But again, don't be surprised when you see half the things show up on that test that you're eating every day.
The most common food sensitivities that we find are definitely going to be in dairy, which, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to give up the cheese and the crackers, right? I get it. Eggs is a huge one. Wheat and gluten is another one. Peanuts and then soy. Again, along with food allergies, they're very common in food sensitivities as well.
Right.
I had my first panel done back in 2017. And I had a class 3 sensitivity, which again is the highest sensitivity possible to olive dairy products and olive eggs, which I loved eggs. It's an easy protein, people will tell me. I get it. It's super fast. It's easy. It goes in a lot of things. And then I had sensitivity to wheat and gluten as well. I even had sensitivities to peanuts, almonds, and cashews. So I had to find some other nuts to go along with that. But yeah, so then I worked on doing a food elimination so that I could heal my gut, and I felt amazingly better. Sometimes I'm having to have those emotionally sensitive conversations with clients, but I tell you, when you do the food elimination, you notice changes within about 72 hours for the better, and you start feeling a whole lot better.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had people's health just totally reverse itself, and they feel amazing. And I'm overjoyed when that happens and I get to witness that.
Yeah, that's incredible. When I did the Everly Well, I didn't have anything in the class 3, but I had several foods in the class 2. And I remember talking to you about it. And number 1, the highest for me was almonds. And then I looked at what I was eating. I was munching on raw almonds as a snack. I was putting almond milk in my coffee every morning, and I was using almond flour to make pancakes with in the morning. So I was getting this massive dose of almonds, not even realizing that at all.
Yeah.
Thought, I'm eating healthy. I'm eating gluten-free. I'm eating dairy-free.
Yeah. Your body just stopped recognizing almonds as almonds. It looked at it as it was being attacked by a foreign invader. That's what the body ends up happening. So then you have the antibodies that then are present in the bloodstream. And with food sensitivities, it's your monoglobulin G antibody to be present in the bloodstream. So when they're testing you, they're looking for that antibody to be present in the blood. So it's the monoglobulin G antibody to be present for food sensitivities. When we're testing for food allergies, we're looking for the monoglobulin E antibody to be present in the bloodstream. So if I'm testing for food allergies, and I'm not looking for the G, I'm only looking for the E, I won't know about food sensitivities, and vice versa.
So tell me this. So we've covered that you can go have a food sensitivity test. You can go buy that online. You can go to Target and buy it and do it at home, send it in. If you want to test for allergies, you can go to ihealth.org, get that done. And that's basically you're doing it on your own. You're just going to be sent to a LabCorp to have your blood drawn.
Yep.
What if somebody goes to their regular doctor and says, hey, I want to be tested for food allergies? Do they do that, or do you go to an allergist for that?
They'll refer them to an allergist, yeah.
So an allergist is who's going to draw your blood for that.
Yeah, I would think they would have a lab in their own office. I haven't been to an allergist in years.
So you work on the integrative side of things with an integrative doctor. Is that something that you guys normally do? Is that blood work that's normally ordered?
So I run through a symptoms questionnaire. It's a 2-page long symptoms questionnaire that I run through to really help guide me as to what would be the best pathway for the individual client as to determine if they are symptomatic enough that I think that food may be the biggest influencer to what those symptoms are. If they have mild symptoms, then not necessarily. And if there's a willingness to maybe do some food elimination without exactly knowing, we can certainly do that. Anybody can do that on their own.
Right.
Yeah. Class 1 foods, you're going to eliminate for 30 days before you try and reintroduce them. Class 2 sensitivities, you would eliminate them for 60 days before you try and reintroduce them. And then class 3s, you're going to eliminate them for a minimum of 14 weeks. But that's really more of the emotional, sensitive conversation that I have with people, because really the class 3 ones, you eliminate them more as a lifestyle.
So class 3, you really don't want to reintroduce.
Oh, you certainly can. And I definitely encourage it, because I think that it's important for people to have those food experiences. Because after you go through the elimination and then you bring, let's just say, dairy, for instance. I was never a milk drinker because I was lactose intolerant since I was born, but yet they were still giving me milk and milk products. So that never really worked out for me. And you'll hear that from people. But let's just say cheese. If I were to consume cheese, I immediately know my body will have a GI response that really nobody wants to be around.
Okay.
So I think it's important to have those food experiences, because then people can have that connection, and then they go, oh, I get it now. And then I'm like, That's awesome. That's what we want. We want to be in tune with our bodies and have those connections, because then it's up to you. Well, do I really want to feel that way?
Do I want this punishment?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it worth it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And depending upon the degree of sensitivity that you have for the food, let's just say the class 3 sensitivities, you can experience those symptoms for weeks and months.
Oh my, how do you narrow this stuff down? This just seems so...
Yeah, so when you do the elimination for the 14 weeks, hopefully by the end of the 14 weeks with those class 3 food sensitivities, you are then no longer experiencing those symptoms, okay? And again, I would say GI symptoms are probably the biggest piece of that.
So this just makes me want to encourage anybody that's having GI issues to go have a simple test, because how in the world would you ever pinpoint this on your own?
It can be challenging because the basic food sensitivity test includes 96 of the most common foods that we consume. If you go to a comprehensive panel, now we're talking over 200 foods. So if somebody says no matter what I consume, I'm having issues like all over the place, then I'm like, it would probably be in your best interest to do the comprehensive food panel. But I would say more times than not, I would suggest the basic food sensitivity panel, 96 most common foods. And you can see on everlywell.com what foods that they are testing for, which is nice. You can see the list.
I do remember that. And I think I did the basic one because, well, I'm kind of basic. So, but I do remember it was maybe a little bit more expensive to get the full list.
Yeah. There's probably about $100 difference between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I even have children that are doing these food sensitivity at-home test kits, obviously through their parents. But when we look at children and we look at behavior and maybe behavior that we're not understanding very well or that we are challenged with, I definitely go back to food as the information that is probably most likely.
And I would imagine like a small child isn't going to be able to tell you exactly.
No.
They're going to complain of a tummy ache and not really be able to tell you exactly what this feels like, so you can, it's probably best to just get a test.
Yeah. But I would say most unfavorable behavioral issues in children are directly correlated to food information and drink information that's coming into the body.
Isn't that interesting? They're probably jacked up on some sugar too.
Totally.
That might have.
Or food additives or artificial sweeteners. A lot of the flavorings that they are putting, the dyes. The dyes are probably the worst.
I've heard that too.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that through parental care, they can also do testing for minors.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Great to know. So you see people when they have these issues, they're coming to you. Sometimes they have not tested themselves and sometimes they have tested themselves, but you're really there to help guide them on and navigate through.
Yeah, because they don't know what to do with the results. Or like, I had one gentleman go, I did that test a year ago and here are my results. He goes, but I didn't know what to do with it.
Right.
And he was having serious anxiety. He was in his early 40s. He had never experienced anxiety before in his life. And I'm like, okay. So I said, well, let's do food sensitivity testing. He goes, I did that a year ago. I go, well, do you have the results? He's like, yeah. I go, okay, well, pull them up on your phone. He did. And I'm like, you have a class 3 sensitivity to almonds. I said, you need to eliminate those almonds, along with a couple other ones. Literally within 72 hours, he sent me an email. He's like, no way. He's like, this really is legit. This works. He's like,
better.
I don't eat almonds anymore and I'm not having anxiety. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. There you go. Because our gut health, 70% of your immune system is in your gut and 95% of the serotonin that our body produces is actually produced in our gut. 5% is produced in the central nervous system. The gut is speaking to the central nervous system through the longest nerve in our body called the vagus nerve. So gut health is the key to our overall health in the body.
It's worth exploring.
Absolutely. And why not feel good? We're meant to feel good.
Oh my gosh,
Let's
I know.
feel good. Let's age well. Let's live well.
I'm telling you, I've been on my own regimen the last 6 months, getting my microbiome balanced and right. I have so much energy now. It is ridiculous.
Energizer bunny.
But it's like you don't realize that you're going downhill so slowly.
You just get used to it.
You do. You get used to it.
Yeah.
You accept it. Oh, I'm getting older. This is what's happening. Don't accept that. Don't accept that this is your new norm.
Yeah,
it's not worth it. It's worth feeling really, really good.
Absolutely. And it's, like I said, it's a small investment. And if you have an FSA or HSA card, let's use it. Let's use it for you to discover how we can best support your overall health so you feel amazing.
So tell everybody how to find you. Tell us more about what kind of patients and clients that you see, and then tell us how we find you.
Okay, well, client-wise, I do see teenagers. I see college students. I really enjoy spending time with teenagers and college students, just because I think that that's a golden opportunity. If we can learn this information at a much younger age, y'all won't have to suffer like we have.
I agree.
But I do work with 20-something, 30-something, 40-something, all the way into the 80s.
But you're seeing people that have, they're not feeling well, GI, fatigue, but you're also seeing people that want to lose weight. They want to do it in a healthy way. Are there other
So autoimmune.
People? Okay.
Autoimmune is a big one. I call that the umbrella because that's really where they've been diagnosed. The physicians may not know exactly what the root cause is, so we sort of fall under these umbrellas. So autoimmune is a big one. Cardiometabolic health is another big one. Most of it is people are tired, they're not feeling well, which certainly can go back to, food allergies, sensitivities, nutrient deficiencies. Definitely lose weight. I have not met a woman yet that doesn't want at least lose 5 pounds.
Yeah.
No matter what our age is. That's just sort of what happens with females. I see male and female, but I would be honest in saying the majority of it are females, certainly. But yeah, want to feel better, want more energy, sleep. Sleep is a huge one. Yeah, we're not sleeping very well. So we talk a lot about sleep hygiene. So I look at the body as a whole system and what does the body need as a whole system to be well supported? Because our bodies were designed to heal and repair themselves when given the right information, right? So that's really where I look at the body as a whole. And in the lifestyle pieces, where can we make some modifications in the lifestyle pieces that, we're feeling more centered, we're feeling more grounded, we're feeling more balanced. Because our environments outside, they really are not helping us to, feel grounded or necessarily balanced or even really promote our health when we see a fast food chain go up on every corner. When you walk into the store, you're faced with over 40,000 products to choose from that are supposedly food-like products that are really not food.
Right.
So label reading is a big one. So
it is. And there's going to be plenty of other opportunities for you
we
to be on this podcast. We've got so many things to talk about. This is just one piece. So you will definitely hear Corrine again on this podcast. But tell everybody how to find you.
So you can go to my website, which is berootedinhealth.com. You can, and all my information is on there, my cell phone number, my email address. You can also find me on social media. Facebook is Corrine Lewis, Functional Medicine Practitioner, Nutritionist Lifestyle Coach. I'm on Instagram at Corrine, M as in Marie, Lewis. You can follow me there. I post daily on both sites. You can also find me at Soul Wellness in downtown Mooresville.
We love having you there.
Oh, I love being a part of it. It's an amazing group of people.
Well, thank you so much for being my first episode and doing this with me, because I'm so excited to educate the public on what all goes on at Soul Wellness, and we just have so many resources for people. It's important for everyone to hear.
Absolutely. This has been fabulous. Thank you so much for having me. I love it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another enriching episode of Soul Wellness with Kristen. We hope the insights shared today have resonated with you, inspiring a deeper connection to your own journey towards holistic well-being. If you enjoyed today's episode, We invite you to subscribe, share, and reach out. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring you meaningful content that educates, empowers, and uplifts. Remember, you are a vital part of this community, and together we're creating a ripple effect of positive change.